going on in colleges kind of right now. Amanda of colleges, I know you're sort of shuffling papers there, so you can either nominate Bob or talk yourself just through the one key activity that's going on across other organisations that you thought was really good practice.
Yeah, I don't personally use it, but I know at Art Media it's used an awful lot. They upload their assignments onto there, and it's also used as a general feedback between students if they've got questions about certain assignments, and then tutors then can feedback comments. But it is used, and they don't submit any paperwork assignments. It's all done online.
All through Edmo though?
Yeah, it's used like in schools. It's
Yeah.
standard.
Yeah. Very good. What about over on this table here? What have you either picked out that you either it's good practice now or that you'd like to develop?
We were talking about Moodle, as you were saying, we find it very clunky, and I mean, we use it and have to do probably tips of colleges really, but quite difficult. I mean, I think we all quite like social media and having the central accounts rather than having individual accounts, so you don't end up repeating things.
Yeah.
And I mean, I use Padlet a lot, and it's so easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, it's just another indication of how we work together as kind of one team, because IT were really responsive in terms of setting up those accounts. So we have got a separate one now for the Padlet in comparison to Facebook. So again, it's really managing that in the right way.
We were just saying, because you've got the challenge of working across multiple sites, and
Yeah.
I've got the challenge of one maths teacher and one English teacher.
Yeah.
So any form of, and Lisa at Chelmsford is great because she invites us to them over there doing it, whatever. But that's quite challenging.
Yeah, and I get that. And we've got a really big site here, but I don't want anyone to leave with the impression that we're just based here. So half a mile down the road, we've got our Milburn campus, which is where our construction students are. We've then got how many sites out there?
We've got a satellite centre at Sudbury, Haverhill, a large one at Thetford. We've got premises in Ipswich that we teach from as well, Newmarket and Stowmarket. So we do have satellite centres. The majority of that are adult provision, lots of maths, English and ESOL adult provision, but also access courses. The traineeships go out to the different sites as well. And there are things like AAT and other stuff like that, but there's still some 16 to 18 goes on the sites as well. It's not just adults, so yeah, across quite a wide area.
Right. So there's a lot of empathy in the room from other colleagues, I should imagine, but ourselves included, in terms of how difficult it can be to manage just staff across multiple sites. But it is an issue that we're faced with too. So I don't think anyone's alone in that. Anyway, let's go to this table. What did you pick out?
Just pick a few things.
Yep.
So somebody was talking about EduText. I think that was Sharmella. So it's like a text messaging service for students, even down to individual, your functional skills maths test is in an hour's time in room whatever, which is amazing to be able to do. This sounds amazing. They've got a student information terminal, and they call it SIT. So it's basically driven by a student's ID badge, where they go and scan it, and it gives them their timetable, but any up-and-coming exams and things that are relevant to that student. So it's obviously just individualised for that student, and that was at Mid-Kent, wasn't it? We were like, oh, that sounds really great, really techy. We talked a little bit, I think it was Amelia, looking at putting Snapchat for revision information. You read something about a biology teacher that...
Yeah. She found it really engaging in Snapchat to get sort of just snippets of information that happens.
Yeah, so remember this really great fact, you're going to need it for your exam, and then it sort of Snapchats. So, that's something. Maths Watch as well, Sharmella was talking about. It used to come in a sort of DVD, CD type format, but now it's online and it's self-marking. It's just another digital technology that we might need to look at as well. And Google Hangout, I think that sounds really great.
Yeah.
But it's basically like a Skype version, but on the Google platform. But it records whatever you do into a YouTube video. So again, there was a lot of things. We looked at Teacher Innovation Centre, TIC Room, which some of the colleges are developing as well. We looked at things like Twitter accounts, using Google Drive, using simulators, some virtual learning. Those lovely head things that you welding something while you're sitting in a classroom probably. We looked at 4 Skills as a a different version of BKSB and online learning, and we looked at VLEs, particularly VLEs that submit work online, which is a bit like Edmodo that you were talking about as well. So we were on a roll in this corner.
You certainly were, absolutely. Julie, your table, anything you want to add
We
to
just
that?
had a good old natter about Twitter, basically.
Good. What did you conclude?
Well, the power of Twitter is I took a photograph before that session ended, and it was Just Maths on there with Mel Mardani and Sandra from Maths Box.
Yeah.
Both have now responded to that.
Yeah.
So the power of Twitter for CPD and for resourcing yourself, not for student accounts as much as I don't feel, but I have seen some effective ones, is just phenomenal. The maths community have owned Twitter for some reason, but that's schools and colleges collaborating, and they share the latest government policy information, anything that anyone finds out, it's on Twitter.
Absolutely.
But the fact that Mel is there in Stratford-upon-Avon and Sandra's there in, I don't know where she is, but they're sitting there watching what's going on here as well, it's brilliant. And we've got a connection, and actually Moulton just said, I'm interested in that. I've sent her an email, she's pinging stuff now to James to get him a Just Maths account and see if he's interested. So, all of those things can happen instantaneously. Sometimes in FE, it just, we need that spontaneity, don't
Definitely.
we?
Yeah.
And Twitter gives you that, definitely.
Yeah, especially when you've got nearly 7,000 followers.
Nearly.
Nearly, I know.
True friends, Trevor.
They're real people, aren't they?
They're true friends.
There you
They
go.
are real. They're
Yeah.
real.
But no, all joking aside, that is the power.
Huge.
And probably in this room, when you count up the rest of us, we've probably got nearly 8,000, haven't we? Teasing. But no, it does. It just illustrate that power that online kind of gives us now. Okay, thank you for that feedback. There's been some stuff that I can see, thankfully, that Sam scribbled down too, which is brilliant. So we're going to be able to pinch loads of these ideas. And again, as I said before, we will endeavour to share these too. So, let's move on.
For this year, my role was to be functional skills coordinator, and one of the things that we have looked at across the last couple of years is that getting the students in the room is difficult. Getting them to go through the course hard, getting them to turn up to an exam even harder sometimes. But when they do get into that exam and they give it their all, they're finally at that stage, you have that awful duty to tell them that they didn't pass. And they say, what did I do wrong? And we would go, not a clue, good luck next time. Wasn't good enough. And that's one of the things that really has hindered, I think, functional skills community, trying to improve our students' understanding and learning. So we've negotiated with Excel to go onto a pilot study. We've been experimenting with it it's been in the making for about a year now.
Yeah, since about October last year.
And essentially what they've come to us with is that the minute a functional skills exam is marked, they will break down for each Edexcel candidate reference number the exam paper by the type of the actual level. Obviously, so this will be a level 2 student, and each question will have the breakdown of what's in there. So if it is a percentage, a graph and a ratio, it's all in there. It also gives a little bit of information about roughly what's it attached to. So if it's talking about perimeter, it will also mention compound complex shapes. It then allows us to see this particular student, for example, work out areas and perimeters in practical solutions. They scored 0. We can now then say to them, actually, we can now signpost you. You need to be working on perimeter and area because you scored nothing on that question.
And where would you signpost them to, Sam?
That's where we're going to go next. We're going to go there, or we'll, talk about that in a little bit. And there's so much on that. It's fantastic what Dom's got for you. If you could show the next one for this.
Yeah.
And this is the student the second time round. This is their second test. As you can see, a marked improvement. This time they struggled with adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing whole numbers using a range of strategies and solving simple problems involving ratios. So they managed to tackle their area and perimeter 100%. But this time their ratio let them down.
Can I just say, as everyone else was sitting in guilds, because we're in a pilot for those sitting guilds, so other bodies are realising that we're all struggling with a lack of feedback from exams.
Absolutely. It has been.
Not as sophisticated as this, but it's getting there.
I think most of us at the centres, thank you so much, most of us at the centres, we always refer back to our learner notes, our learner profiles. In class, what did they struggle with? If they have done mocks from the milestone, we then look at the milestone results. we can't be in the room and we can't look over their shoulder and take note of all the questions that they did well on, didn't do well on. But what we can do is ask them questions. How do you feel about the paper? Look at their mocks, look at their milestones. Is there a pattern? Even so, that's not effective enough, especially when someone has put maybe 2-3 weeks into revising for their exam, and all we can do is say, I'm afraid you didn't make it, and here's a mark, you got 22 out of 48. It's not good enough. This pilot is being rolled out across Edexcel, City and Guilds, and I have heard rumours that AQA are now starting to look at putting this in place as well. So that's something that if you are with those particular exam boards, it is worth inquiring about and seeing whether you can register to be on this. At the moment, what we have done is these come in individual PDF documents for individual students, and Trevor, the IT department, have worked, again, fantastically. These come in individual PDFs for each student. What we've now done is created a system where each PDF is put onto one massive PDF document. We can then do control find, type in the Edexcel registration number, we can find their first exam, their second exam, their third exam, hopefully it ends there, if not a fourth exam, and we can then say, and we can then identify the patterns in the exam. What do we need to work on exam technique? Okay, so this time we've got percentage across all four, maybe it's a different one, maybe it's something to do with the diagrams, is it the graph questions, are they not seeing where to raise that bar on the bar graph? Is there something there that we've missed? A wonderful project, and hopefully for September, we've now started trialling it. September onwards, it will absolutely revolutionise the functional skills department, I think. So definitely worth inquiring about in your individual colleges.
So just one thing, how did you say you got, because when we get these, they've just got their J code on.
They have.
Yeah. What's the most efficient way of kind of getting the learner name attached to their report?
Do you want me to say that?
Yeah, you go.
That was the issue that we had, and frankly we've ended up with level 1, something like 190 individual PDFs. Now, we could have either left them on the computer as 190 individual ones, or we could have got IT to do what we did and mashed them all together. So those 190 are all in one place. Again, it shows the value of the communication that we have across college. Within 24 hours, when I explained the issue to IT, the Edexcel exam report that we work with, they imported the candidate numbers into that report, so that that's where we pick up those candidate numbers. And as Sam said, once we know Sam Royal is JD1234, we just copy that candidate number, go to the PDF, we know which level they've sat and whether it's maths or English. We then just use control find, so we using the find search function within the PDF to find that candidate number really, really quickly.
To answer that as well, our exams department, when they're booking the exams, they are specifically, we have student numbers that we tend to send over. They prefer the Edexcel registration numbers because it allows them to book the exam within 5 minutes, done so quickly. So most of the lecturing staff, and from September it's going to be actively encouraged that on our learner profiles, the minute that they're registered and we have that number, we should be putting them on there so that we can then do searches for our students that way.
Yeah.
That way it should minimise the going onto the Edexcel website, looking for their results, looking for their registration deals, finding that number. If we start early in September, this will...
Because somewhere within your college, within the management systems will be that number, but it's just about working with IT and explaining what you want them to do with it, and then they were so responsive. But that is almost another, we could almost do another session on all of that kind of stuff and the reporting and some of the other things that we've just been talking about. So, but hopefully that gives you a flavour of what we do.
The other thing we do, these obviously for online,
Yep.
and I learnt this morning from Charles, who's not here this afternoon.
Yep.
We do mainly paper
Yep.
exams, but not Richfield, but the Edexcel has something called Results Plus,
Yep.
where you can also get this type of
That's
information.
Yeah, our problem is that we do very few on paper now, so you can't get it. So
Yeah.
that's really useful.
We've shown a couple of students this so far, and it has, their reaction has been fantastic because they've looked at it and gone, that particular student, and another one, for example, one of them said, I did not expect to get 0% on ratio because that's my favourite subject. So that clearly said, right, when I looked at that person's notes, they're really good at ratio, performed well, mock tests were fine. So there was something wrong with that question, there's something they didn't understand. And it also allows us hopefully to signpost any learners with ESOL needs. Maybe it is just reading the question. And we've got Avril Young, one of our members of the Maths and English team, she's teaching our maths teachers the English, how to teach the English language, how to teach reading skills, creating vocabulary lists, vocabulary boards, vocabulary boxes. We're now working on that. and it all comes from this kind of project. It's really been very useful.
We call it Mathslish.
Mathlish.
It's a special thing.
I have to be honest,